Chainlink update for December 2nd, 2025. So if you've been wondering where I'm at, a couple things going on. Family issues. My mom's been in and out of the hospital. But that's neither here nor there. We're back. That's all. Right? So let's get right to it. Chainlink at 1250. We're trying to find the bottom on the daily. We'll start here, then we'll zoom out to the bigger time frames, okay? But you might be wondering, are we going into bear market? Well, probably. We'll look at Bitcoin in just a minute and kind of show you why all that's around. But highly probable at this point that we're rolling over into a bear market. Hard to argue against it at this point, but never use 100% anything in trading. Maybe the chances might be low, but it's never zero, okay? Where would we look to sell some if we don't want to hold for the long term? For Chainlink on a rally, right? I do think we'll see a rally here. I think Bitcoin will rally back over 100K. Chainlink will probably have a rally too. Where would we want to offload and not hold, right? Some of it, maybe none of it. Maybe you're just long-term holder like Chainlink and you don't really care, right? I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the people that want to offload, right? So where do we go? Well, we want to look for support and resistance on the horizontal aspect, and the more recent, the better. So you can see our swing lows here. What's this moving average? That's the 600-day moving average, right? That dark red line. And you can see Chainlink specifically interacted with that quite a bit back from October to mid-November. Our swing lows, swing low close again, breached. Look where it flipped to resistance. Where do you think I might suggest if we have a rally? So as of now, current prices, that would be a 30% rally. I think that's a good spot, right? With low close here, we have this. Now, if we want to get some confluence back here, let's drag this over, see if that says anything. Well, you can see that low close down there at the 200. There's the 200-day in the pink, right? So we want to follow that as well, because look at how it rejected off of that 200. And that's sinking. So depending on when our rally is, it could be a month away. Not saying the timing is almost impossible. But when will we be able to identify the rally? I'm glad you asked. Well, first and foremost, we'd have to have a damn close above the 21 EMA, which is that yellow line. Look at that. Rejection there off the yellow. Rejection off the yellow. We've only closed above the 21 EMA on this sustained rally that lasted for a whopping like 10 days, right? And we closed only a couple candles above it. So that's where we would look to pivot and to say, okay, maybe this rally is real. Maybe we are going back to around the $16 mark. Because we haven't done that since, right? That you always look for the anomaly for things to change. And to do that as well, we're going to have to put in a higher high. So the baby step is right there at that close, 1350. And coincidentally, you see the 21 EMA right there as well. So if it happens soon, both of those will be a good target. So around the 1350 area as of now, to get a higher high and to take out the 21. So we're potentially trying to form a bottom here. What we'd want to see is just kind of this rounding formation where we start to kind of build off of it, right? Something like that. The inverse of this, where we, right? You see that, right? You want to just do the opposite, right? See how you round that up and, you know, low, high, higher high, right? You got to see something, right? We don't have anything yet. You could maybe argue that we're going to see a double bottom right there, right? But that would only confirm again if we take out this high. Double bottoms will only confirm after you take out the previous high that set that. So if we can do this over the next week or two, 1350, that high close, 1346 to be precise, then this would be a double bottom. Now, we would have to not see a close lower than that as well to confirm that. Otherwise, we're still just in a downtrend, right? We're in a downtrend by definition here, by all meanings of the word. So we're looking to reverse that, and that's the first sign. Close above the EMA 8. We've done that a couple times. Wouldn't even worry about that. close above the 21 and or take out 1346 on the daily scale. That's it. That's all we're waiting on. All right, let's zoom out to, let's just go to the weekly. Then we'll take a brief look at the monthly. What an extreme just sell-off, right? I mean, it was just in mid-August. But not even 3 months, really. And we're down over half, 50%. That wick was crazy, right? 70% and very quickly. Covered a little bit. But we're seemingly where Chainlink tends to find a local low, which is 15, 20% below the 200 week. Right now, well, we've wicked down. We've wicked down there already. We wicked way the hell down there already. But right now, as of current prices, we're down 12%. So a rhyme, right, with the sell-offs, the sell-off lows, the local lows. We had our failed W pattern, which we were highly hopeful for here. And that failed, right? So now we're down trying to find a low and then see a rally. Again, if we're looking to around the 1650 area, maybe around the 21 week, right? You see that yellow line again? I know it's kind of hidden right there. But if it happens in the next month or so, even 5-6 weeks, it'll probably be around that $16 area. So I would hold that and not get too optimistic. If we see a rally up, like look at range high here, slightly lower range high, maybe slightly lower range high, right? See that? These, I mean, local highs, I think I've said range high, it's same thing. Very, very similar, right? So we want to watch for that. I'd be watching these highs. So if we get between now and February, if you're like, damn, I don't want to get trapped again. Well, there's my spot. What else? Okay, we want to also look at rallies. How high did rallies go? Well, we didn't really have one right there. I mean, I guess you could argue that low 50%, high wick to low wick, there's 75%. It's probably going to be less than that. I mean, that's a damn good recovery. That's kind of a, I'll say, gray swan event there. Black swan, maybe we could go with that. But looking at the rally here, it's still, 40% would still be pretty doable from the low wick to a high wick. 40-50% matching somewhere in the wheelhouse of these range highs, right? Somewhere in that zone we'll probably hit before we roll over to a full-blown bear. Right, somewhere in this area. Highly improbable that we start to close above this. Very unlikely. At this point, right, based on what Bitcoin's doing. So let's just go take a quick gander at Bitcoin. And we talked about this in our group this morning. And if you want to stay up to date, I've still been, I know I haven't made many YouTube videos, but I've still pretty much on a daily basis been in our Patreon group, keeping everyone updated on, my thoughts and everything going on in the market. So we still do daily updates there. So if you want to stay in it to win it or lose it in this bear cycle, right, I'm still going to be in there all the time. So Patreon's link below. You can find me 5-Day Crypto on Patreon. I do daily updates in there, right? So looking at last cycle, where do we find our bottom? At the 100 week. Where are we now? At the 100 week. Then we had our only bounce in the bear market right here. And that was from, we can take it from extremes here. High wick to low wick, 47%. We're very likely going to do less than that. So if we just look at that, that's 117. But in my boat, I'm watching that 21 week, somewhere around mid 100s, I would guess. But we might not get this initial bounce right here. We might just stay flat for, I mean, look how long this is, right? I wouldn't doubt it because our cycle has been so lackluster in excitement and volatility compared to last cycle, I should say. That was 56 days. Well, we could just stay ho-hum for 56 days again or something in that wheelhouse, right? And that takes us till, mid-January before we could potentially see a bounce. And looking at range highs back here, range lows, right? The same thing we looked at on Chainlink. Well, if Bitcoin's going to rally somewhere 100 to 107, 110, something less than 110, right? Chainlink above $18 is unlikely, like Bitcoin is unlikely to go above 110. So I'd watch for that. Wherever Bitcoin is, like let's say Chainlink's at $16.50 or $17 and Bitcoin's at 105 and you don't want to hold, watch out, right? Don't get trapped. That would be the exit, your probably last call to exit. Okay, so that's my thoughts, my quick thoughts on Bitcoin. All right, just kind of relating why. Oh, and also I want to show you this, right? Because we looked at this, and I think this is important to know, right? The depth of the bear market under this 200 week, this pink line. We went down about 37% from the 200 week, right? So we're going to do very likely less than that this time, less than 37%, right? Because we had less volatility to the high side, less volatility to the low side. We're very likely in the bounces and in the extremes going to be less than last cycle, right? Less volatile. I mean, you can just see the angles of attack here if you're wondering why the hell I'm saying that. I mean, it doesn't take rocket science here to see that one is less volatile than the other, right? Less extreme from low to high. I mean, this is probably even more than that if you draw it perfectly, but you can see the angles of attack here, right? So diminishing returns are real in peaks and valleys. So less extreme to this extreme. And right, you might want to say like, well, we went down 77% roughly last cycle. Well, we'll do less than that this cycle. I can almost guarantee. Again, probability might be low, but it's never zero. Don't say 100% anything. But for our extreme, just an easy way to do it, 35, 40% under that 200 week, where did that take us? That would be like the most extreme I would see happening in the bear. That goes in line with the kind of these range highs, range low wick, right? So to me, our bear market low for Bitcoin and wherever our altcoins happen to be, Chainlink, this would be like the most extreme. So whatever your favorite influencer says in 6 months from now, when we're sub 70, if they're calling for anything lower than that, ask them why, because I don't fathom it. Somewhere in the mid 40s is about it to me, right? Okay, so that's enough of that. Just a little side note. Back to Chainlink here. So if we can, we very well might do something, a rhyme like this, right? Where we just, do ultra boring for a while. It could very well look like this. And that takes us to even February, right? It could do that. But whenever Bitcoin starts to rally, again, look just like we're looking for Chainlink on that daily scale, where we chart to put a lower high or a higher high and take out a moving average we haven't seen taken out in a while. You want to look at that of Bitcoin as well. Whatever Bitcoin does now is likely what everyone is going to do. So, surprise, surprise, Bitcoin's up a little bit today, and altcoins are up a little bit today, right? So that's what is likely going to continue. Move that over. Bitcoin dominance is still high. And this is the main reason why we all underperformed in altcoins this cycle. Bitcoin dominance is at 60%. Holy hell. Like last bear market was down, we were down at 40%. Altcoins could still have some room to shine here and there, right? Last, in 2021, towards the end of the cycle, altcoins were still doing well. Bitcoin dominance was not at 60%, folks. All right, so let's look at the monthly. Kind of see the major macro damage here. It was not a great month for Chainlink the past 2 months, really. October, November were pretty devastating. But we're at our kind of our range lows here. Bear market for Chainlink, I'm as bold as this is, I'm thinking somewhere around the high $7s to $8, these low wicks, extremes. Look at how much of a base we built here. And, maybe a slight silver lining here is, we built a base here in the bear. We built a loose base here in the bull. And then maybe we build a slightly higher base, this bear, wherever that may be, might take us till, there's a year out, right? 2026. And then, what if we continue the stairs, right? Something like this. For our next cycle, maybe it's a little bit more extreme, but we are now proceed with caution because we had, if this is in fact the high we're ever going to see again in Chainlink, at least for this cycle, then we must dull down our moon boy hype that everyone calls for when we start out cycles, right? Diminishing returns are real. So there was a 6%, 6.5x from low wick to high wick. What do you think I'm going to say here? So even if our low is here, there you go, right? It's going to likely be less than that. Reality check. Just based on math, right? I mean, that's diminishing returns are very real. This cycle lived up to that. So as much as we want to see Chainlink at triple digits, it might be 2 cycles away before we can do that. We'll see how this bear market goes. But there's where we're at. And maybe, you know, we have another, maybe it's this simple with Chainlink, right? You know, something like that. And this, we see, you know, bear cycle, bull cycle, bear cycle, bull cycle, right? Just stair steps up here. This would still be on the, like fit the Bitcoin kind of lower volatility, right? Where you see those extremes, the angles of attack here. Chainlink still to 100, but not for 2 cycles, perhaps. Just, you know, all models are wrong. Some are useful. That's just me going off on rants. Don't put too much thought into that. All right, any questions or thoughts? Let me know. But just based on like, why am I more certain that we're in a bear market? It's nothing. I don't care what anybody says. It's what I see. It's a bear market starts with structure breaking. We broke structure back up at 100K here. Right here. That had to hold right at the 50 week. That's when you reverse the trend. And that's very likely why we saw that extreme sell-off. Because any professional trader had a stop loss under that wick right here, and you just pick up momentum to the downside. All the orders were already in. That's why you pick up pace there. And not only that, but you had your multiple closes under your 50-week SMA and EMA, right? You had close there, close there. That's the nail in the coffin. It's, again, nothing's guaranteed, but highly probable now we're in a bear market, right? Look at this whole cycle. I made the white line nice and easy to see. How many closes did we have under there this whole cycle? It's just been recently, right? How about last cycle? Right when we started. Where did we rally to? Right to there. Where is this now? Starting to see how the puzzle fits. We'll rally somewhere back to that vicinity, mid 100s. After breaching, confirming bear market, rally back to it, nuke it down. Get back above it, bull run. Hold it as support, bull run. Confirmed right there. Even though we were already 8-9 months into it. Hold support, hold support. No more support. Breach structure on the weekly, breach structure on the weekly. All right. That's it. Have a great day. All right. Quote of the day. Speaking of conflict, conflict cannot survive without your participation. I think that's more relevant to, you know, one-on-one feuds, not so much bull markets and bear markets, but hey, can't be a bull without a bear. Bullish on Chainlink colored Bugatti Bolides. They're only like 5 mil. We would need Chainlink to do something a little bit higher than $20 for that. Probably the best rear end on a car of all time. 4 brake lights. Dual exhaust. Look at that aerodynamics. Lower diffusers. Amazing. Got any more pictures? There's it rolling. All right, look at this guy. He looks happy. All right. Fun fact, the Bugatti Bolide, it can only run for about less than 15 minutes before it has to have fans on it or it overheats and stops. The tires are good for 100 miles. That's not a 100 miles. You have to change them. How much are the tires? $40,000 US. $40,000 US. $10,000 per tire. They're good for 100 miles. Don't buy this unless you're a billionaire, obviously. That's expensive. You think your tire change is expensive? 40 grand? Extreme.